For the watch body, I thought I might experiment with some different materials such as marine ply like the one I've got here, which is 18mm thick. But interesting enough, I actually found that the 12mm marine ply has a higher ply density than the 18mm. And even more interesting is that the 6mm has the highest ply density of all three of them. So I'm going to laminate 3 layers of 6mm marine ply to make up for the watch body. So I can get the pen threader to set up to cut another wooden watch. Well, that had an unexpected amount of tear out. It completely destroyed the bottom and the top. So I'm going to cut another millimeter deeper and then see whether I'll be able to sand out the tear out surface when finished. That looks pretty good, so now I'm going to move on to the other cuts by referencing off the inside surface. Well, that went okay. A few times it caught on fire and a couple more times the router bit fell off. Almost every time I changed the camera angle, it fell off. However, the collet was still tight enough to get a hold on it, and I was actually able to notice it coming off as there was more resistance. I know that I said I'll probably use a Fulson bit for the holes at the back in the last video, but I've decided to give my old method another try, and this time being a lot more careful with the alignment. Looks about right. That looks and feels a little bit too smooth. Where's the 1mm ridge? Oh, great. I forgot to set the plunge stop. Oh, life is great. Well, it looks like there's only one way out of this. Avada-kedavra. Looks like that worked. So now let's move on with the rest of the watch. Finally. So I've got this set up to what I think is visually correct. And now let's just hope that Murphy doesn't muck it up again. This time I double checked that my depth stop was set correctly. And then I can switch to a 10mm router bit for the recess at the back. Once that was done, I could mount the blank face up for the next cut. I've got it pretty much on the correct height, and now I'll just need to line up the edge of the template with the edge of the watch that I have transferred a pencil mark of it to the side of the workpiece. I'm going to use a slightly larger template follower, which is a 12.7mm in this case, for the first pass. And then for the second pass, which is also the final one, I'm going to use the 12mm one, and then that should give me a much better finish. Instead of just covering up a small portion of the middle of the template, I am covering up the entire middle section to prevent the router bit from digging in. That generally went pretty well, and when I nailed down the technique to actually do it, the cuts are very clean with no chip out. But at the start, I still thought that just doing a climb cut would do the trick, but that didn't work out at all. As you can see, there's a very nasty chip out. So there's 2 options that I can do. The first one is just throw it away and start a new one, which is precisely what Murphy wants. Or the second one, I could glue a piece onto it, and that is what I'm going to try now. Okay, this looks actually pretty good, but it's still pretty rough, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit before moving on with the other stuff. Oh yes, Almost forgot the hole locations. Luckily I've got the circle thing used to mount the wooden watch stuck on the scrap piece of wood, so I can just put it on there and then make sure it's about square, something like that, and then I should be ready to go. I wonder whether I can just plunge in and then turn the router bit by hand to mark the hole locations. Just to be extra sure that the drill bit will follow the divot, I am deepening it with a center punch. To prevent the hole from breaking out like last time, I am making the filler piece for the chip out first. I am setting the chip out flat for a seamless joint. Once the glue has dried, I can do a little bit more shaping before drilling the holes. Since my auxiliary chuck has a bit of wobble to it, I am using a shorter drill bit, yet with a thick enough shank for the main chuck to drill a pilot hole. Then I can use the auxiliary chuck with a longer drill bit to drill the remainder of the hole. For the watch crown, I worked out to use this really big crown, and instead of putting it on the side like a conventional watch wheel, I'm going to put it actually all the way up top like that. And the reason behind this is to stop it from being damaged when my wrist flexes like that. On my other watch, Mark II, that actually has happened and it actually broke the crown off. And I really don't want that to happen again, so I'm going to do that on the top. For the back of the watch, I'm also going to use marine ply. I am marking and drilling the holes first so that there is less chance of the drill bit wandering off the edge. Making wooden watches always makes my machines feel enormous. It is quite important that the back and the watch case meet almost with no gap so that dirt doesn't get in. And from looking at this, I think I'm pretty good, and it helps to press it down on the screw holes just to confirm what it is going to be like when I put the bolts through. I'm turning it roughly centered so that I can mark its hole locations. My normal tap holder is way too big for an M1.2 tap, so I'm just using my hands to turn it, which worked exceptionally well. For the watch movement holder, I'm going to do the same as Mark II and make it out of two pieces. And I'm going to first make the watch face. I'm aiming for a thickness of 0.4 and currently I'm 0.6. But I'm going to leave it for now so that I have a little bit more material to play with after I glue it together. This one is pretty much 3.1, which is exactly what I'm aiming for, but I wouldn't have liked it to be exact at this stage, so it looks like I'll just have to live with the saw curves at the back. I probably should make a template for the pen router to cut out the shape for a Miyota 2035 watch movement, because it is by far my favourite watch movement, but if it's just one, then I don't really mind some hand tool work. Perfect. And then I can come back to the watch face. Just for insurance, I'm putting some tape at the back to help keep it in place. The watch face would probably get destroyed by the bandsaw from the amount of chip out because of it being so thin. So I am using a razor knife with a new blade in it to roughly cut it to shape. And now I can do a dry fit with the watch face and watch movement holder. Once I was confident with it, I can glue it up. I made sure that I would have a minimum amount of squeeze out because I don't want glue to get on the watch movement. After the glue has dried, I can take it to the belt sander and sand it round. And then I can peel off the paper template and sand the face to the correct thickness by hand, or else the watch hands will rub against the watch face. I'm aiming for a thickness of 0.4 and hopefully even less than 0.4. And looks like we've got it. That should be perfect. And that should mean that the hands won't touch the face. Damn, that is thin. It's almost like those Japanese windows. So let's check the fit with the watch movement. Fits perfectly. And now let's try the stem and the crown. I like it when a plan comes together. This is perfect as well. But unfortunately we've got 1/2 mil of step between the watch movement holder and the case. So I'm going to try and sand down the material over in this rim because I left that a little bit thick. As much as I would like sanding, but I think a chisel works a lot better. And now we're on the brim of perfection with only 0.1 mil of a step, which I'm going to leave because I will want the back to compress this a little bit as it gets secured down. With the watch fitting so perfectly and everything, I'm going to start sanding this. Great way to start the first day of 2017. Dude, you got to see this. Look at this, quick. Matthias Wando commented. Absolutely love the rim as it transitions color from dark to white. Now it's just the 120 grit and then 240. I finished sanding and I wish I could whistle so that I can do a wolf whistle because this looks so sad. I just really like the transition in color on the rim. That is just so stunning. Apart from the strap, all that's left to do now is to wood burn the dials in and also my name on the back. Oh god, I really should have planned this a lot more carefully because my last name is like wandering off the edge, but I guess I'll just have to live with it now. Since the watch face is really thin and I might burn through it, I'm going to glue a thin piece of wood at the back where I might be burning, and hopefully that will prevent it. For the marking out, I'm using 1:1 templates and transferring the marks with carbon paper. I'm still burning this by hand, but very soon I'm going to build something to greatly increase its accuracy. I have to be very careful when burning my initials because there's only about 0.3 of a millimeter of material left in that spot. As careful as I was trying to not to burn through it, I still got a crack from all the heat that it's getting, as you can see. But I don't really have any way of fixing this, so I guess I'll just have to call it rustic. But to help prevent it from cracking any further, I'm going to put on a coat of varnish. For the watch case, I'm going to use tung oil, and I would have done that by now if I have made a strap, which will be in the next video.